Those of you who've been watching this show for a long time know we like to cover larger topics in the world and how they affect our little happy theme park bubble. You probably remember, I think we started the show just a couple days, if not weeks after the Pulse shootings here in Orlando, and so we talked all about how that would affect our world and topics like that. And so News Tonight is definitely a comedy show, and people just dropping things, of course, in the background. We're not used to being serious on this show. Usually a comedy show, but I think also a place to discuss larger issues. And so there's been a lot of really interesting things on social media, obviously, in the last week, but I felt there was one string of tweets that, for me, hit home more so than anything else. Like, I live in this theme park bubble extensively. Sometimes I don't leave it at all for months on end. And so, obviously, it would be someone tweeting about having a very different experience than most of us usually have in a theme park that I think would be the most impactful. And so we have a good friend of the show. He's been on, I think you were on C Relate. I don't know what shows you've been on before.
From like 2017.
Long time ago.
I was acting up.
But our good friend Nate is here.
How's it going?
And Nate, hey. you had a series of tweets that, as a theme park person, I thought made it clear how different life is. You know, I'm a white guy. I go to Disney, like it's Disney.
Yeah.
Disney was created in the 50s for white people. Let's be honest.
Right.
That's it was the 1950s in America, and I think what's been interesting over time is to see the world take that and make it its own. Whether Japanese culture has taken it on, or especially in California, Disneyland, a big Hispanic culture taking over the park. But for you, what is the Disney experience like? Obviously, you love the Disney parks, but how is your experience different, do you think?
Well, if it was a completely terrible experience, I would never go again. And I've been going for 26 years, so for the most part, it's been great, right? But there's some times that stood out, like in my life growing up, and I would see something that would be like, all right, I'm never gonna forget this moment. For example, this is like 2009, and we were staying at Port Orleans Riverside, and I stayed there 10 years prior, and my mom didn't like it because it was just a lot of tension in there. Like, there weren't many black people there, and back then it was called Dixie Landings Resort. I mean, put two and two together on that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, a friend of mine booked us a resort at Port Orleans Riverside, but it was like the last option. My mom reluctantly, took it. So we get to the check-in desk and we go talk to the lady up front. She was a little hesitant, but she decided to put us in the plantation area.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would look at my friend Josh, and then he'd be like, yo, what? And I would look at my mom. She's like, excuse me, no. She's like, oh, well, this is our only section available right now. Are you willing to wait? She's like, yeah, I'm willing to wait. I'm like, you're not going to put me in a plantation area and just think nothing of it. And she kind of like, the front desk lady had a little attitude about it. But you kind of have to think outside the box here.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, okay, let me get these people in the room. Like, you kind of have to put some perspective into it.
Well, I think sadly, like, being white, that's not the first thing I would think.
Yeah.
Looking at that hotel, but when you actually think about it, like, yeah, that could be extraordinarily offensive. Like, I could absolutely understand.
I mean, it's still based on the antebellum South.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, you would think they would try and, and I'm not here to, like, blame Disney or anything, but you would think they would try and, like, switch it up a little bit, other than changing the name from Dixie Landings, which is, like, wildly racist, over to Port Orleans Riverside. But you saw that plantation section, like, call it something else, something different.
And it's just, I don't think obviously it was anything intentional, but I think in their process, I think when they were building hotels at that time, they're thinking, what are the different regions and architecture types that we haven't done a hotel for? But no one had the thought, like, maybe this period isn't the best to represent, American culture,
Right. Wasn't the resort was like made in the early 90s, right?
Yeah. So very early 90s, yeah.
So just
it's still a very different time from today, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, 10 years ago was a very different time from where we are now. You know what I mean? It's something as close as January. Me and my mom went to Epcot, and we're annual pass holders, so we go to the annual pass holder line. We're the only black family in there. There's like 4 or 5 different families, and we're in the middle, right? You see the people ahead. All right, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. But the cast member is like, oh, this is for annual pass holders. It's subtle things. It's subtle things. It's not. People think, okay, it's not really racist if you don't say the N-word to people outside of being a person of color.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, they didn't say the N-word, or they didn't call you, you know, this, that, and the other. It's not that bad. I'm like, but when you're denied entrance, when you're supposed to be in, that line you're in, it didn't sit right with my mom, it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
So it's just small things, and it adds up. It adds up over time because we're always told to be like, just it's not a big deal, leave it alone. And I actually obeyed that rule growing up, which is pretty bad. But times like these today, it's really great to speak out against racism going on.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Does that hurt as much as a slur? Like the fact that just people assume things like that, like you couldn't possibly have an annual pass?
It sinks in. Like at first you're just kind of like, oh, what the heck? But like later on, as you go throughout the day, you really start to think about it. And it's like, wow, okay, things have not changed.
And it's obviously stuck with you. I mean, it's one of the stories you went to right away.
Yeah.
When thinking about your theme park experience.
Because it happened the other day. It happened back in January. I mean,
not that long ago.
I could go stories as back as like late 90s, but the fact that something as subtle as that can happen in 2020, it should be surprising, but it really isn't. And then I feel like not only me, but any person of color needs going into the parks, especially that are frequents or locals, should speak out against that and say something or get regulations or what have you, instead of just kind of letting it slide.
Yeah.
So doesn't sit well with me right now, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how things are when the parks open back up again.
I mean, there's an uncomfortableness as a white person. I'm uncomfortable because, what's going on in the world. I'm embarrassed as a person who lives in this country, and I'm embarrassed to be a white person at times. And certainly, we have a large black population in Orlando, and going to Universal the last 2 days, there's a lot of black employees. There's a lot of black people visiting. And there is this uncomfortableness. Like I'm afraid to look in the direction of other humans because I'm ashamed of what's going on out there. I don't it's a weird time. I'm just everyone's clearly going on with their lives, but I think we just feel so uncomfortable, being represented in that way. But what's happened or what continues to happen,
Well, I mean, I feel like less embarrassment should be on it and more taking action and learning.
Yeah.
And you bringing me on the show so we can have a discussion about it we're taking baby steps here.
Yeah.
So,
but I know you also. It's easier for me to ask you. It would be incredibly hard for me to go to someone I don't know, and talk about these things.
But it's good. That's how you start uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
It's better than.
I'm not good at talking to people I don't know about nonsense. I'm not good at going back up to the register and being like, "Could I have a refill?" So I mean, I'm not the best example in any situation, but.
But the way I see things, especially with Twitter, because that's the thing I'm on most. People of color would say Black Lives Matter, and then they will talk to a white person about it, and then it'll be an uncomfortable conversation. But I feel like the dynamic would change if the white person started that uncomfortable conversation, like, okay, what can we do to help? What are we doing wrong? What can we do to solve it? And how do we go from there? To just get some solidarity around, So I encourage you, just start talking to people. Really, people, me, but do you know Sean Roselle?
Not personally.
Strike up a conversation with him. Bring him on the show. He's a great guy.
Nathan was talking about putting him on Dreamfinders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're off, Nathan.
You're off, by the way. Your mic's off. We're really great at this. Really great at this.
Yes, he is.
Dreamfinders.
He's hopefully going to be on Dreamfinders. We're still scheduling it, but he showed interest. So.
Because we do have. I mean, there's obviously. I will tell you, in the 13 years I've been doing this, we've done fan events and all these meetups and things. I mean, I can count on one hand how many Black Disney fans have come to any of our events.
Right.
I mean, it's certainly not that we don't invite everyone and anyone. It's just, I don't know. Do you think Disney is just a primarily white person thing? Like, what is it? I just feel like it's not. There's no good representation in this community. It's a very white community.
There's more of us than you think, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a huge Black Disney community, especially on Instagram, on Twitter. It's just that our voices really aren't heard, and they're not heard until now, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people have been called out on, you know, small shops or the way they do things. You see the small shops now doing Black Lives Matter, but where was it 2 years ago? Where was it 3 years ago?
Okay.
Where was it when, you know,
When it was less
Tamir
popular?
Rice was shot down? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We
So,
only do something when we feel guilty, maybe. I mean,
or if they want to
that's
make a
how it
profit.
feels.
Yeah.
For
See what I'm
profit,
saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, are they giving? I'm not tracking this. Or I
Yeah.
assume, are they giving any sort of profits or anything to any of these? I mean, there's 100 great causes right now you can give.
I see the shirt and I get mad and I keep scrolling. So I don't really look at the details. But if they are not,
Yeah.
you know, saying, okay, you know, 100% of the proceeds will go to Minnesota,
Yeah.
then obviously there's a serious problem. I know that the Lost Bros are donating. I think they said $1,000 or more. I don't know. Don't quote me on the price, or you know, quote me
I'm
on
sure
how much.
people could look it up.
Yeah. Excuse me, but they're going ahead and donating. That's the only one that I know of, because that I've seen with my own two eyes. I'm pretty sure other people have.
Yeah.
But you know, just to be coming out with these Black Matter or Black Lives Matter T-shirts, and there's a shirt that I saw not too long ago. I think it was a few hours ago. Don't know who the small shop was. It was Mickey's hand, fist bumping a black hand. I'm like, with a heart. I'm like, like,
Yeah, I saw
get real
that.
here.
I saw that. Yeah.
Get real. You know what I mean? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous.
What
and-
about that do you think is ridiculous?
It looks like they're trying to make profit off it.
Yeah. Okay.
It really looks like
Just
it.
wanted to clarify.
Yeah. And yeah, that's just not something I stand by, unless if they're donating 100% of the proceeds. The shirt's ugly. I mean, it shouldn't be. like, I'm gonna keep it a $1.50.
Yeah.
But they can do like a special edition shirt. It doesn't have to be a Black Lives Matter shirt. It can be a special, I don't know, some Disney edition shirt, and be like, all right, 100% of the proceeds will go to Black Lives Matter, any kind of organization around that. But
It
I don't
does
see
seem.
that
It does
happening.
seem like they're like, and I think Disney's done a very good job at Pride, but like they'll have Pride.
said Pride?
Yeah, they'll do
Okay.
Pride
Yeah.
merch and stuff like that.
Universal today.
Yeah.
That Pride merchandise is a whole.
But you're
section of
correct
the
that like
store.
it's very limited on like representation for people of color, like Black History Month. Like there are things that Disney doesn't even seem to try to do. Do you think it's just because they don't see a commercial potential for it? Like even though they should do it, like what do you feel? What do you think Disney as a company can do to represent you more inside the parks? I guess is my question.
listen to us. That's the best way to put it. Like even if, like, I don't know whether it's a survey or
I mean, they ask everyone's ethnicity in a survey, right? I mean,
yeah. But I feel like our voices need to be heard more. How? That's still, I mean, I'm not entirely too sure, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm sure like these Disney people are smart up there. You know, the executives.
Some of them.
You'd be surprised
Some of them.
sometimes.
I know you're at war with that one guy. I forgot his name. His name
Bob
Bob Chapek.
Chapek.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but if Disney really listened to what's going on, did they? No, it was Lego that. No, they did donate $4 million.
Lego. Yeah.
But Disney donated.
Disney.
Yeah,
Disney
finally.
did 5, Lego did 4, right?
Yeah.
So
And stripped their police sets.
that was dope. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, all right, that's really good. So steps are being taken inside and outside of the theme park world.
Yeah.
But there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
Long way to go. I mean, like, if certain things happen on November 3rd to where it's not the best results, you know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, I feel like it's going to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
A lot worse, especially, and on top of that, the 4 police officers. Yeah, of course they're charged, but they still have to go through trial. If they get acquitted,
I
Yeah.
can't imagine. Can't imagine. But see, here's the thing. I'm jaded at this point. I have been through a lot. I've been through a lot with this company, the Disney company, and I don't know when if it was sort of and a lot of corporations, not singling Disney out either. A lot of corporations, I felt like the response was delayed and calculated, and just kind of like, well, this is what we have to do. I don't know how many corporations I see where I'm like, did you do this because you had to do it? Or
No, they're
did you
doing it to
just
cover their
want
butts.
it? Yeah, like, and there's
Yeah.
some like Ben and Jerry's went off the wall. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, Ben and Jerry's believes what they're saying.
They've been doing that
So I love
consistently.
you,
Ben and Jerry's
That's
100%
great.
with,
I
like-
appreciate that's real from Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
But I don't know how like with Disney. I mean, when there's something impersonal about when you own 55 different entertainment companies posting the same message,
And
like,
the best you
verbatim
can do is 5 million.
across-
Yeah.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. I mean, from the Disney perspective, $5 million is a few bucks or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's still
For
$5
sure.
million
it's
compared
something.
to,
Yeah.
you know, the NFL, all these different companies just saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're with you. Good luck. Be safe out there."
At least purse strings were open.
You know,
yeah.
They did
Right.
more than most. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Like it's Disney, Lego. Who else donated? I'm not talking about like $20. I'm
I
talking
can't
about
even
like,
keep track of this.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I think Universal.
but not many have.
No?
Not.
I don't think so. All I've been seeing is just the copy paste, same lines, you know, black background, white font.
Yeah.
We're with you.
Yeah, I
Keep
don't
your
know
head
how many
up.
companies, 'cause I know I mean, again, I live kind of in this bubble, so I know Lego and I know Disney. I don't really know who else has or hasn't at this point.
My current favorite has been Criterion Collection, and they own the Criterion channel. They film professor, so they do upscale art house movies and stuff.
Okay.
Real limited edition Blu-rays and things.
Yeah.
But they have a streaming service, and so they have not only started a fund for black filmmakers, but they've also opened up on their streaming service any black filmmaker title or anything about race in America you can watch now for free without an account. So it's like kind of like if Netflix just opened up and then like
that's very
here's
nice.
That's
educate
perfect.
yourself.
That's great.
So that's an interesting one. That's been one of my favorites because it feels like education opposed to just sort of like, let me give you money. Like, are we good? Right? It feels like a consistent, that idea of a monthly, not a monthly, but a yearly fund as well. That's one I thought was kind of encouraging.
If there's a way that companies, instead of just being like, all right, here's $5 million, find a way to educate themselves about black culture and what's going on and the history of it, like the Criterion Collection. If I can't think of a company, just to say Starbucks. Starbucks did something with, you know, I don't know, something with black people and coffee, and did like an educational series on that, just to kind of like, all right, it's all baby steps, learning, donating, instead of just backlash of, you know, but this, but that, but the riots, but the looting.
Especially because people of color are what make coffee beans for the most part. Those are the countries that make them. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of connections there for sure.
Yeah.
It ain't easy, folks.
Do you have any other stories or any other theme park experiences or?
There was a Hoop-Dee-Doo review, which is, have y'all done it?
Yeah.
Everyone's done it.
Uh-huh.
It's terrible. Like the show itself is, the food's bad.
It's a very old show.
Yeah, it's a very old school show.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
it was my birthday dinner, and I had a couple friends that kind of convinced me to go, and you know, I didn't push for it. You know, it's something to check off the Disney bucket list, right?
Yeah.
So I went. 2 friends were white. Okay, so I'm the only black guy there. I get to Fort Wilderness. I've only been there like maybe once in my life, so I'm there. I'm just like, okay, just the vibe overall. Don't need to be here. Like, I don't want to be here. But I'm not gonna, you know, do a bad attitude. But we had good seats. Here's the thing: we had good seats, like first level, like kind of like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
And then right before the show started, they're like, oh, we gotta take your seats away. We're gonna put you somewhere else. And we're like kind of like confused, like, well, what? So we go up to the second level, all the way down at the end, obstructed view of the stage. And you just, again, something a non-person of color would think like, oh well, that sucks. I'm just thinking, okay, this is a little strange, and it's not me. There was another black family there, and it was a full show, and they put us right next to each other, or maybe 2 tables apart. Again, so it's a little things, but it's a big thing in my head.
Yeah.
You know, like it's strange because I would walk into a place, especially in Disney, and I wouldn't count how many black people were here, but I would do a quick scan. It's just in my nature. Now, when the show started, I was heated about that. You know, I wanted something to be done. So one of my friends went and talked to a manager, and the manager was can't cuss. Manager was kind of like not nice about it, and they said, basically, they're like, there's nothing we can do about it. Sorry, sucks to suck. Yeah. So, but the cherry on top was, first, like I said, it's a bad show, but the food is like Golden Corral-esque food. So it's like the fried chicken, it's potatoes and gravy. Yeah, like
I'm not a big Golden Corral guy. I don't know about
I'm not either. That's why I mentioned. That's why I was like, no.
Fried chicken's pretty good. I think it's
Wait,
solid.
what? Flame Tree?
Flame Tree?
I heard the word Flame Tree somewhere.
No,
I'm like,
the fried chicken. I thought the chicken at Hoop's pretty good. No.
well, here's the thing with the fried chicken, right? They do their number. They come out with the food, yada yada, yada, and I'm already fuming.
Yeah.
And the lady, the server, comes up and drops a whole bucket of fried chicken in front of me and walks off.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Like you're putting to someone that's not a person of color, it might be like, oh, they dropped the fried chicken. But for me,
Yeah.
like that was absolutely like disrespectful. You understand what I'm saying? So by then I was like, okay, and I don't recommend this. Like I was like, you know what? I got a drink to get my problems away, and that's the only time I've done that in my life.
Seems like good
Because it's
it.
unlimited drinks over there, and I think that's the only good thing about the show. So I got like, I got like completely hammered off Yingling and sangria, and
So you were gone by Strawberry Shortcake song.
I don't even remember that. I remember doing the spoon on the freaking washing.
That's all anyone ever remembers.
Like
is the spoon.
it's all terrible. But on the bus ride back to the parking lot, right? Because it's a ways away.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down and it was my ex-girlfriend, so we're together, and she's white, right? So an older white lady kind of like glared at me, and by this time I'm hammered, so I'm not like belligerent, but I was just already in a bad mood. So it was like a brief conversation. I was like, yo, come on, like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's the problem here? And then they kind of like had a, like Nate, just let it be. So something I'll never do again. A show that needs to go away, honestly. But, I mean, there's only so much that I can do about it.
Yeah.
And nothing was done with my experience there. Nothing like, you sit me at the top row in the corner, obstructed view with another black family there who also was not having a good time.
That's a big move from the floor in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you drop a bucket of fried chicken in front of me. Like, that's...
Just people in general need to be more conscious of what
they need to be more aware.
Like I don't know if the chicken was, I don't know if she meant anything by it, but I don't.
But here's the thing. In that moment, like things have already like the
already in
little
your mind,
things that added up.
Right.
So that whole drop and walk away without saying a word, that was just the cherry on top. I was like,
I
okay,
can understand that.
I want to go.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I have a temper like that. I can understand like one thing goes wrong and then something maybe innocent happens and I'm already at that point.
Yeah.
Gone. Yeah, I can understand. Like, once you're already in that frame of mind, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, the world has put you in a frame of mind to have to think of these things.
Exactly.
Because, and I think from a perception, we're talking about perception, right? Like them not thinking about those things. Truly, the only way to like understand when you're this and not you is educating yourself and finding ways to hear people's stories and understanding the years of systematic oppression that has occurred in America, and even then I'm only going to get a sliver, right? Because I don't live in the same way, and that's the shame of it. But I mean, thank you for coming and telling us your stories. I really appreciate
no problem.
it.
And honestly, and I'll say this, and it's gonna sound eerie, but it's true. Disney's the only place where I can feel like I can roam around freely and not worried about getting arrested or getting shot or anything like that, because that's my happy place. That's my safe space. But still within that bubble, you have subtle things. It's not going to be outright, you're an N-word, this,
Right.
you know, because I dare someone to be bold and say that to my face on property.
Yeah.
But if that were to happen, guess who's the one who would get trespassed?
Yeah.
Feel me? And that other person, who knows, they might get a slap on the wrist because they're crime playing victim, which is a very popular thing nowadays. You know? So, yeah.
Any other last thoughts you want to share with everybody?
To the people, like, to the non-people of color that are, like, opening their eyes and realizing, great, awesome, educate yourself. Definitely, I mean, do whatever you can. Donate, speak out. Silence is the worst thing you can do right now, honestly. To completely ignore what's going on outside of the Disney bubble, basically completely ignore what's going on in the world, the silence is deafening, honestly. So I do encourage to speak out, whether it be a small thing like Black Lives Matter, we're here with you, or a donation, or just reaching out to not like a token black friend and being like, oh, I'm so sorry about what's going on. Tell me more. Like, get yourself into those uncomfortable conversations. Like I said, get into those uncomfortable conversations. It needs to be done. You just can't turn a blind eye and be like, oh, well, all lives matter, blue lives matter. I mean, people die, people die. Like, that's not. You're taking 5 steps back if you're doing that.
You don't have those conversations. I mean, I grew up in Bronx, New York, and
BX, stand up.
It's a diverse place. I went to school with people of all different backgrounds.
Right.
No one talks about how different their lives are. Me and the black students never, we talked about other stuff, like fun stuff. We never talked about what life is for you versus me, or you never have those discussions, and I don't know.
But now is the time to.
Yeah, no,
like, even
it's
for
good
kids
that
in
a
school.
generation of people will hopefully be pushed to have those conversations, because I feel like my eyes would be a lot wider if we, maybe I'd talked to more people growing up about it. Instead I think we all kind of ignored it and just like, oh, we're all here together.
No, yeah.
Right?
And I'm guilty of that as well. Like, I ignored some things that happened to me growing up. I would remember some things, and then in 2020, I'm like, wow, that was wildly problematic. Whether I was a part of it or if I was a victim of it. I feel like the 90s and the early 2000s were very, a lot of it was ignored, but I grew up in that. Yeah. So that was ignored I think we're all around the same age here. Ish, sort of. So like,
congrats, Eric. You're involved.
We kind of all grew up ignoring it, but like the younger generation is speaking out, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Yeah.
But that's something that us millennials need to speak out on as well.
Right.
Especially the younger millennials, like from like 90 to 94, 95, or whenever the cutoff year is. So it's definitely like just those conversations need to happen.
Well, thank you for having it. We appreciate it.
All
glad
love,
we
man.
can talk about it.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Much. All right. Well.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Please stick around.
Yeah, okay. I'll see what's
Stick
going
around.
on.
If he wants to give his social media, you certainly can.
People are asking me.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah. And it's all right. ENTHUXIASM. So it's enthusiasm. You place the first S with an X. That's it.
I think we also retweeted him on WWNT, so you might be able to find it just looking through our feed as well. I think it's there. If you can't remember the spelling, it's an interesting.
It's
spelling.
different.
I
It's
can't
different.
remember it. So.
You're all right.
So all right. So let's it's been a rough week. We're gonna have some fun. Stick around. Let's get this show going.